Do you all want to hear a story?
Yeah.
Yes. I was at class 6 when I first saw her. A stranger with artistic elegance. She was like a character of Jasmine from the story of Aladdin. And the word beautiful did not do justice to her. She had this aristocratic lineage that I've never seen before. She looked at me, I looked at her, but our ship never sailed. I could not give her my hand, initiate a conversation, and ask her to come on board. Fast forward 8 years, I received a call from a UN-based organization. 2 strangers took my interview. I answered all of their technical questions with mathematical precision, but their behavioral questions, not so much. I could not avoid giving wrong answers, and I could not ask right questions. My ship lost control in the middle of the journey, and it never made it back to the shores. Presiding officer, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests, many of us, like me, have stranger anxiety or approach anxiety because we grow up with the predisposition that strangers are bad and we should not talk to strangers, don't we? And yet, we find ourselves in constant need of conversing with strangers on a daily basis, haven't we? And our ability to do so determines our success in personal as well as professional settings. Therefore, today I want to share with you all the tried and tested tips, methods, process, techniques that will help you start and maintain a conversation with just about anybody. To break this down, there are 2 parts I'd like to classify this. The first part is break the ice. Now, break the ice is all about approach. It's not what you say, it's how you make them feel. And as a stranger, you need to make them feel comfortable. And how do you do that? Like Toastmaster Pratik mentioned, a good body language. Smile. And make an eye contact before you approach someone. And then you need an opener. The opener that I like to use, good morning, good evening, namaste. What it does is it neutralizes the feeling of hostility and threat. It gives the other person this feeling of respect and makes a positive environment where you can carry the conversation forward. Now, we go to the second part of the conversation, which is build rapport. This is a part where you actually connect with that other person. And in this session, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. In this session, you need to ask open-ended questions. How, what, where, and why. And please, don't be negative no matter how tempting it is. No matter even if it's Donald Trump, or even if it's your spouse for that matter. Because that might give a negative vibe, which could possibly work against you in having that conversation. Now, we figured out the basic. Now, how to maneuver the conversation. Actually, there's 4 levels of maneuvering the conversation. The first level is small talk, right? Small talk, we talk about the common surrounding. What a beautiful laptop, or what a beautiful award. You talk about what a bright light, or sunlight, or terrible, crazy traffic that you had to suffer coming here. Then, if you want to carry this conversation with your audience, then you move on to second phase, which is fact disclosure. Here, you discuss about your occupation. You disclose information. What are your hobbies? Where are you from? And you ask similar kind of questions. Now, provided the other person has time and the willingness to converse with you, you take the conversation to level 3rd, which is quite frankly one of my favorite levels. It's about sharing your opinion and asking for their thoughts. In this session, what you need to do is you need to avoid difficult questions. Suppose, if I go to a stranger and ask her, so what do you think about the way oil prices have affected the real estate market in Dubai? She doesn't want to talk to me. All right. So you keep the conversation as light as possible. What do you talk about? You talk about your pets. You talk about movies. You talk about music. And such generic topic where we can lend our thoughts easily. Now, it's about level 4. Level 4 is about personal feeling. So can anyone suggest what kind of conversation would happen in level 4?
Intimate.
Family. Yes. Like you mentioned, intimate conversation, which is usually between two persons who are comfortable with each other and who trust each other to share their information. And like Toastmaster Jane suggested, it could be about family or issues or problems that you're going through. Now, in any point of time, when you're meeting a person for the first time, there's no guarantee that the conversation will begin from level 1 and come to level 4. But given the existence of Toastmaster Ankit would prove you otherwise. For all the right reasons. There are people who make you feel instantly comfortable and trustworthy. So, I've shared with you the processes that might work in most of the occasion, but these processes and techniques apply differently to different people at different times. It's like approaching someone is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get until and unless you go there and you try yourself. It's like something like Sunoj mentioned. Get out of your comfort zone and talk to someone. Now, to demonstrate this, I'd like to call a role play. Now we're in a setting, wedding, where a friend of mine, Ankit Padukone, is getting married with Deepika Goenka. The reception is at Prashant Hotel, and I'll be approaching a stranger. To help me with this act, I'd like to invite Toastmaster Binay on stage. Give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Binay, for doing this. By the way, she and I would be complete strangers. We don't know each other, and we have not rehearsed this. Samrat, to make this as realistic as possible, this is just some alcohol with Coke and whiskey. This is just a glass of Coke, right? All right, so shall we begin? Before I go, timer, can you state what time has it been? How long has it been?
8 minutes, 47 seconds.
Okay. So, Binaya is in a setting. I need to approach her. Hi, good evening. I'm Prashant.
Hello, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I'm Vinay.
Nice meeting you, Binay. Can you tell me how do you know Ankit?
I got to know him from Toastmasters.
Ah, actually, he helped me with one of my corporate gifts. I work with Korean Airlines, and I required to give promotional gifts to agents. So he was a really mellow fellow, where that's how I got to know him better. And cheers. Are you afraid of me or something?
I'm just confused. Why are you
Okay.
going to talk to me?
Yeah, it's basically, I believe on something. I believe that there are no strangers here. It's only friends that I haven't met. So, excuse me, I'm sorry if I'm being rude, so do you like to keep the conversation going? Ah, all right. So, what do you do? Do you study or do you work?
I'm just doing
Ah,
Master's first year.
actually, I'm also doing my master's first year. So what subjects do you have?
Development studies.
Development studies.
And you?
I go marketing, kind of. It's similar to what I do. I know, it is. But economics is interesting, don't you say so?
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, all right. So, Binaya, if I have to ask you, what taste do you have in music? What kind of taste music do you like?
I'm not so really interested in
Ah, so may I ask what interests you so much?
sleeping.
Sleeping. Believe me. Can you come a little bit forward? You're just moving away from me. Actually, are you afraid of these audience over there? I don't know half of them. But I'd like to keep on and know a lot of people before I leave home, because one of the things that I believe was, it's interesting to think about people and what they do. Like, I've met someone who just talked about body language, and he taught me how to use this gesture. And I've met someone who taught me how to go out of my comfort zone and explore the boundaries that I usually never explore. So that's my objective of coming and reaching to you. And it's lovely meeting you. I hope we'll meet someday soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Binaya. Oh, that was tough, but worth it. Now, I'd like to ask Toastmaster Binaya herself, how did you felt during the entire process?
It was good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, what are the things that I could improve? Binaya. So I think it's a participatory thing, so anybody can lend their opinion. Toastmaster LVG first.
I think you're moving a little bit too fast. Because immediately you started getting a little personal, which you're finding a little intimidating. Also, you were trying to justify some of your actions, which is something you should avoid. Especially at your age, it's taken to be flirting, so generally speaking, avoid that. Otherwise, those are two things you need to do.
Toastmaster Ankit?
When you were talking to her, it was more of a question-answer round. So you were giving questions after questions after questions, and she was answering. And at one point of time, she actually detracted from you. And once you even shouted and you went there. So that whole thing could be avoided. And more talking was done by you than Binaya. So I think at that part it went missing because the balance was not there.
Oh, alright. Roshan, we do not have much time, so please go ahead.
So when you talk, I feel that when you're talking to somebody, the conversation has to go in natural way. For example, when she mentioned about Toastmaster, if I was in the position, what I would have done is I would build conversation on that point, because she is a part of Toastmaster and she made a Toastmaster. So you can ask, maybe I have heard about Toastmaster and thinking about joining it, like how would you experience with Toastmaster? And that way she can share more about her and maybe that create a comfort.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So I think we're running out of time here. May I ask the timer what's the time right now?
Don't touch the
40 minutes for your show.
All right. So I think it's about time for closing remarks. Every friendship that has enriched our lives just began with a friendship. Just began with a simple conversation, hasn't it? So I request you all to get around, know people around you more better. With that, I'd like to hand over the floor to Toastmaster.